In this episode of Brave Talks, I chat with Rachel Acheson, the Senior Vice President of Strategy and Brand at Lululemon, about the power of belief and how our choices to believe specifically in other people can release flourishing in their lives and in our own. Rachel and I connected through my well-being event, Topless. I started Topless in 2014. At its core, Topless is an event about shedding layers in order to see and celebrate what is true about ourselves. In the simple act of taking our tops off during an hour of yoga, movement, and breathwork in a safe space, we can explore more deeply what it means to let ourselves be seen. Topless is not about going shirtless in the bare-breasted sense, although that can be very powerful in the right space. Rather, Topless is a pathway towards forming a personal practice of brave, vulnerable, and radical self-acceptance. Personally, I have participated in many yoga classes with a desire to accept myself, my body, my identity, whatever needed accepting at that moment. Yet, I always wrestled with fearful, deprecating questions. Who am I to take my shirt off and expose my stomach? Who am I to express my feelings publicly? Who am I to say that I accept myself or that I'm even struggling? For a long time, my answers to these questions led me to assume that it would be easier, safer, and less stressful to never show my body, to never share my struggles, hold back my feelings, to keep myself hidden. But is it really easier, safer, or less stressful to hide in this way? No. In fact, studies have shown that hiding ourselves, lacking vulnerability, feeling ashamed is deeply harmful to our mental and physical health, increasing our stress rather than lessening it. In 2009, Tom Hellenstein and Sarah DeRubis and their team at Queen's University found that those who struggled to share their feelings were more likely to have symptoms of depression. And in 2010, Dr. Thomas Fergus and his team at Baylor confirmed a strong connection between feelings of shame and generalized anxiety. Furthermore, when we experience ongoing feelings of shame, of hiddenness, the fear center of our brains, the amygdala, sends signals that activate our sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight response, ultimately raising our heart rate and increasing our cortisol levels. Unless we employ a countermeasure, this can keep our bodies and brains in a constant state of stress. I learned this the hard way. How many years have I spent agonizing over how to present myself, fearfully about how people perceived me? How many times did I keep my swimsuit cover up on or my yoga top despite the discomfort and heat because I was ashamed of taking up space or because I thought I needed to protect other people's eyes? After decades of evading myself and experiencing this constant stress, I felt very deeply that it was time to change, to create a new practice of deeper health and peace, of radical self-acceptance. Topless was the result. On the surface level, Topless may simply look like people doing yoga with their shirts off, but deep beneath that appearance, these people are also in a state of deep listening to their emotions. It takes a lot of practice to silence the noise of our stressed out brains. What do I look like in this pose? Did my pants roll down under my belly? Am I taking up too much space? What will people think if I celebrate myself? What will people think of me if I cry? The concept behind Topless is effective because taking your shirt off is an inherently provocative and vulnerable physical act. How we respond to that vulnerability is the key to building new habits of healing self-acceptance. Because we're conditioned to feel scared or threatened when we're vulnerable, allowing your body to be seen publicly in motion will activate your sympathetic nervous system stress response. But precisely by moving, breathing, and interacting through that stress, we can unlearn the conditioning and learn patterns of feeling safe and loved while being seen. We can learn radical self-acceptance. To counter the sympathetic nervous system stress response, Topless works to engage your parasympathetic nervous system, your body's rest response, using these techniques: mental calming with deep abdominal breathing, verbal focus, visualization of tranquil scenes, repetitive prayer, stillness, and silence, which can quiet the fear centers of the brain. We also use physical activities, movement therapies such as yoga, combine fluid movements with deep breathing, which can counter the stress signals in the body, and social support. The buffering theory holds that people who enjoy close relationships with family and friends receive emotional support that indirectly helps to sustain them through chronic stress and crisis. Topless offers a communal environment and social atmosphere specifically designed to celebrate peace, acceptance, vulnerability, and authenticity. The practice challenges our culturally conditioned patterns of self shaming. By practicing topless, we unlearn those patterns and can bravely move into a mindset and community of radical self acceptance and love. The event is a safe container where you're invited to move and feel and express yourself authentically and redefine your own self worth while in motion. But the practice doesn't stop when the topless event is over. Radical self acceptance is an everyday choice. We're confronted with a constant stream of unrealistic images with which to compare ourselves. And we live in a culture where public vulnerability is still considered revolutionary. But when you show your true self to the world, breathe deeply through the feelings of discomfort and move your body, you become living proof that your unhidden uniqueness is what makes the world vibrant, exciting, and beautiful. I've presented topless in 4 countries: at New York Fashion Week in 2015, on cruise ships, and to tens of thousands of strong, brave, and topless men and women. And I look forward to presenting topless again when it's safe to return to in person events. I am so excited to have you on Brave Talks and just to see you because it's been way too long. And I can't wait to see you in person. Because, first of all, when I get into a podcast and ask someone to come on the show, I do a lot of research before each show. And there is not much out there on Rachel Acheson.
Nope. I'm a behind the scenes person.
And which is really funny because you're a very prominent, incredible woman who's making a lot of decisions for a multi-billion-dollar company. And, you're a working mom and there's so much about you that I'm so surprised that I couldn't dig up anything. And I dig. When I dig, I dig. So, I found a few things. But anyway, I'm really happy to have you here because there's so much, I'm sure, valuable information that you can share with the listeners. And I'm just excited that you're here for it and we get to expose the real Rachel.
Not going to be a long conversation.
You're like, I'm here for it. Okay, so you and I met at Miraval in 2014. And then after we met, we befriended each other, we stayed in contact, and then we started, I hate to use the word following, but we stayed in contact with each other. And you had seen one of my topless yoga events on social media. And correct me if I'm wrong, because my memory does not bat 1,000 all the time, but you wrote me and you said, how can I support this?
Yeah, I think we had done a couple of things. I think I had connected you with some of the local people from Lululemon in Miami to help you build those relationships. And then, yeah, I must have seen the events. And, I really am a huge stand for people being comfortable in their bodies. I'll put it that way, whatever body they have been given or they are pursuing. And it felt important to me. And one of the ways that we work at Lululemon, and certainly the way that I work is, and this relates to your topic a little bit. My belief in leadership is that a great leader creates other leaders versus a great leader creates followers. And so for me, that's about believing in and fanning all the ideas. And one of the reasons why you don't see anything about me is because I'm not here to create all the ideas. It's not my purpose in life. It may be some people's purposes. And my purpose is to be, the wind and the momentum that propels the ultimate possibility in each person. And so when I saw that opportunity, not only did it align with something that I believe in, I knew that there were things I could do to further your vision.
What a gift. And, for the listeners, like I had no affiliation with your company, with Lululemon. I wasn't an ambassador. I wasn't, I was just running my own events and hosting them as my own self and partnering with local teachers and then you kind of came in like this angel, really. And you're like, I am going to attach myself to this and help you because I have the resources to give this message a megaphone. And that's what you did for me. Thank you for that. Where did this ability to believe in people come from? Was it like through your company's development or was it through your childhood or your parents? Because let me just say, you are incredible at believing in people. And I've seen it not just personally, but I've seen it with your team. And I've had experiences, more intimate experiences being with you and the people that you do lead. And I've seen it.
Yeah, it's a really good question. It really comes from my yoga practice and my leadership practices. And those two things are very intertwined in my life at this point. I remember many years ago, 12, 15 years ago, being in a I was in a regular 30-minute meditation group at my yoga studio, and they would close every meditation with wish for each individual their greatest good. And something about that line just landed in me kind of as part of my life's purpose. Because I just started imagining, wow, what if the whole world was at their greatest good? And it's as simple as that. There's no great magical transformation that has to happen. But if each of us are in that place, then the world will be in a great place. And then from a leadership standpoint, I remember more than 15 years ago, I did a Gallup's personal development survey. And it essentially said to me, you're an individual contributor. You're going to be an individual contributor for the rest of your life. You can't change these things. And I was like, that is not who I want to be. That is not going on my tombstone. Um, I also got a promotion and expansion of responsibility where I had a team of like 100 people. And I was like, I could choose to be Superwoman, which is what that Gallup thing described, right? The person who felt like they could do it all. Or I could choose to make all of these people superhumans. And I was like, wow, the impact I could have on even if I'm like phenomenal at this individual contributor thing, I'd have to be 100x more phenomenal than each of these people. And I'm not that. I'm just not. And so I really realized that my impact on the world was like mathematically constrained by my ability to unlock other people and believe in other people. And so, like, sort of quantitative and qualitative reasons for it kind of came together both in who I wanted to be as a person and who I wanted to be as a business leader.
That was one of my questions actually is, when you spoke at a recent leadership virtual conference, you were talking about ambiguity and how you have to make decisions even in the ambiguous times. I mean, human potential is ambiguous, like I was thinking I could have been a ticking time bomb for you. I don't know. I could have just been like some very unpredictable individual. Who knows? But you believed in me. I was wondering the quantitative and qualitative experience, like, are you able to measure your belief in people and how do you do it? And also, is there some like threshold or, mental checklist that you go through before you believe in someone? Or is it intuitive? Are you just like, that's good energy. I've got the resources. Let's do this.
Um, I would say at the end of the day, it is intuitive. I my team always I always joke with my team that this is like the superpower I'm working on is intuition, and I'm always honing my intuition. I listen constantly, I observe constantly. I I listen and watch for people's strengths, which allows me to know when I should believe in someone as opposed to obsessing about weaknesses or gaps that they have. Um, so if I focus on people's strengths, it generally leads me to uh, know what they're capable of and know where to lean on them and believe in them. And then the other thing that I do is I also work really hard to understand people's goals. And so then it's like this giant system, right, of matching what I'm listening and hearing, what people's strengths are, what their goals are with the opportunities I have available to me, and then building a picture from that, if that makes any sense. But it's an art, not a science, but there are like clear components and inputs to the art that I leverage and skills that I'm in the practice of fine tuning all the time. And it's embracing and understanding that you'll miss. We are humans. The people that you believe in and place bets in are human. You're human. This is not a game of being perfect. And the journey is created by the failures as much as the successes, right? And the progress in an individual is created as much by the successes as it is by the failures.
Do you feel the freedom to believe in people? Has Is it a company thing or is it an individual thing where you are like, "This is my constitution, this is what I do," or is it Lululemon, for example, saying, "Rachel, we want you to do this, like, there's no handcuffs, like, just go out and do your thing. We believe in you, fail, succeed." Because I just wonder, like, so many of us feel like either we're led by fear, and we're afraid that we might make the wrong decision. And if we do, we'll be judged for it. So, how do you have the bravery to believe in people?
I find it quite easy at Lululemon. What I love to create and is created for me at Lululemon is an environment where I am safe and challenged. So, listen, I have all the autonomy in the world. I also get a lot of feedback and I listen to it and I process it, and nobody's asking me to be a yes, ma'am on feedback. Um, and people are expecting me to listen. And so, we were interviewing for maternity leave for one of my more senior roles. And the president of Lululemon she said to me, I feel as though you need to really be developing best in class strategists. And she didn't tell me how to do it. She didn't tell me any of it. And I was like, well, that's a fair assessment and a fair objective. So I have the permission to do it however I want. I am held to a certain set of results. I have to listen to feedback, but that's that perfect balance of the safe and challenged environment. And, Lululemon is about developing the whole person. It is about growing people. We are a high growth company. We have lots of jobs available. Am I allowed to say, okay, my intuition tells me this person is ready for a raise? No, I don't get to say that. I have to work within the system on that. And people align against the growth and strengths of the team that I'm creating. So I feel a lot of tailwinds there, no headwinds.
That's great. My mom has her PhD in positive psychology, and she studied flow, experiencing the flow state. And she also worked with dyads. So, leadership and employee dyads and coach. She worked specifically in the Olympics. So, working with coaches and the player and being able to pinpoint what coach helps what player perform best and what's the quality that helps each person perform best, whether it's believing in them, whatever. And what it is trust. So, I when you're talking about it, I'm like, okay, so you're in a trust environment. You're in you can call it a safe environment where you can fail, you can succeed, you can access flow. If I don't know if you're in a flow state, but you're in a trust environment, where you can make those decisions. And I think that's really important when you are moving through life or creating space for people, that we create these trust places. It's not an easy thing to do.
Absolutely, and trust doesn't mean hall pass, right? I've struggled my whole life with this idea of unconditional love because you don't get to be an asshole. There are boundaries even to unconditional love in my mind, and that's what trust creates, right? Trust creates this environment where I'll speak for myself at Lululemon and I think how my team feels, which is any feedback I give them is in the context of me just wanting them to be their best and me seeing an opportunity for them to deliver more of their strengths into the success of all of our goals, right? But it's not I'm here to nitpick you, I want to take you down. And so people, they just come to me when they're stuck, right? They'll talk it through with me when they're stuck. There's no shame in not having the answer, which is a great environment and a confidence that, again, like back to the beginning, that all I want is their greatest good, right? So even if I have something tough to say to them, it comes from that place of unconditional love and a desire to see them flourish.
So recently you posted, well, okay, so for the people listening, I follow Rachel on social media, and I hate to say follow, so I'll just say I stay in touch with you on social. Sometimes we take breaks, sometimes we're back on social. But inevitably, I always circle back to you because you're one of my life friends and mentors. And I saw, and I always see you post short, inspiring, a picture with a short message. And one of them recently said that, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're in your 50s now and you are embracing your soft curves and your smile lines and all the things that you never could at one point in your life, or maybe you nitpicked at one point in your life. Is that correct?
Yes, and it's a practice.
I'm going to assume, and correct me again if I'm wrong, but assume that like you're finally believing in the worth of your body. Is that right?
To me, it was this realization that my internal dialogue is a consistent series of um, tiny criticisms that don't ladder up to how I actually believe in myself. And that actually, I'll use an example that I read in a child raising book called Talk to Your Children So Your Children Will Listen, and Listen So Your Children Will Talk, I think is what the book is called. Anyway, it said, for all the great intentions that you have, like if you think about all the ways you love your child and you believe in them, watch your daily dialogue. And it said put 10 coins in one pocket, and every time you say something that doesn't reflect that intention, move the coin over. And I remember noticing like my dialogue with my children was tie your shoes, hurry up, we're late, finish your broccoli. Like, and I was like, wow, none of that is a reflection of really how I feel about them. And what I have recently started noticing about is that I do that to myself. Right? Every time I look in the mirror, every time I put on a pair of pants, every time I brush my teeth, like it starts with something negative. And yeah, how could I get to a place where there was more harmony between my highest beliefs and my daily inner dialogue? Um, and and that for all that talking, I don't actually know where 50 years of talking to myself like that has gotten me. um, doesn't change anything. It doesn't make me more beautiful or less beautiful or stronger or more fashionable, or it actually just erodes my inherent sense of spirit and self. And, that photo and that post was like, enough is enough. And I say it's a practice because it is a practice. And, I'm in the process of when it actually happens, even just undoing it, right? it's like meditation. You're never going to eliminate your thoughts, but you notice them, you observe them, you release them.
There's so many um, moments of undoing, even after undoing so much and unraveling this knotted ball of yarn in my experience. I've had full body liposuction in 16 different places of my body. I've had breast implants, a breast explant, I've fillers and this and that, all to appease the outside for people who are looking at me and for it wasn't out of self-love, right? It was those little voices. It was those 10 coins in the pocket that I actually acted on. Anyway, I breastfed my son for about 2.5 years. And this is after having an explant. And so my breasts aren't those perky breasts anymore. Also, I'm aging. I'm getting older, right? And, I see people on social media with side boob or that perfect, like, I'm like, wait, didn't you breastfeed 3 children? Like, why are her breasts so perfect still? And like, maybe I should go back and get a lift, because it was because I had the implants and my skin was stretchy. And these silly thoughts go through my head. And I'm like, what makes me and to be so specific and silly, but honest, like what makes my breast in whatever shape or form it's in less perfect than anyone else's?
Yeah, whose standards? Yours, the world's, like, I completely agree and get it. It was also been very eye-opening to me. I look back on Instagram and I pine for how I used to look, and then I remember when I'm really honest with myself that I hated myself in that moment. Like, there actually hasn't been a day in the last my adult life where I hadn't, like, questioned how I looked. And so I'm like, it's all in your head, right? It's not in your body. And when it's in your head, it's yours to control and elevate more than control, I would say.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll do a rapid fire and then we'll wrap it up.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay, something most people don't know about you.
My team asked me this. I'm a romantic.
Can you describe belief in 3 words?
Faith, trust, and possibility.
What's on your bedside table?
Vanishing half and Gilead. Uh, a lamp and honest face cream.
Last book you read and loved?
Deacon King Kong.
I haven't read that yet, but I heard it's really good.
Amazing. It's on Obama's list. It's amazing.
Actor you'd choose to play you in a movie about your life?
Oh, I'm gonna go brunette Reese Witherspoon.
That's a good one. Fill in the blank. Life is.
Presents with a CE, like not gifts.
If you could have any other job in the world, but not this one, and you were great at it, what would you do?
I would run a daycare.
You can come over to my house anytime. Favorite place you've ever traveled?
Africa.
I remember when you took your kids there. What do you want your legacy to be?
The people who flourished because of me, or
Because you believed in them. Thank you so much for coming on Brave Talks. I so enjoyed seeing you and having a conversation. And I can't wait to squeeze you in person soon, hopefully.
we will figure it out for sure.
Take care, Rachel. You can find Rachel Acheson on social media at Rachel Acheson. Brave Talks is sponsored by Taja Collection Custom Candles. Taja Collection has designed a very special Be Pretty Brave candle for all of you listeners who want to light up a beautiful message in your home or send it as a gift to those who could use bravery and courage in their lives. You can find the candle on tajacollection.com. That's TAJA collection.com. And you can search for Be Pretty Brave. Brave Talks is produced by Madeleine Inskeep. Video production is by Wallace Cruz. The music is produced by my dear friend Murray Hidary with Mind Travel. A heartfelt thanks to these 3 who support Brave Talks with their incredible talent and gifts. If you'd like to receive my monthly thoughts and a recap of this month's Brave Talks, head on over to emilynolan.com and click subscribe. Thanks for listening.